So I'm going to open up Fall ACP Review Day 4. That's where we are today. And then we'll go over these bell ringers. So first we'll go to our Google Classroom, Fall ACP Preparation Day 4. That's the file you're opening. Okay, and if you're a Power School user, Fall ACP Preparation on the left side, and Day 4. You can either click this link. In Power School Learning, it shows it twice. So I'll just click this one because that's the one that looks like the Google Classroom link. And so that's what you'd have open here. I'm going to minimize this over here on the side so we can enter our answers as we go along. But yeah, let's do number 1 first. So number 1 says an arithmetic series is shown. What is the sum of the series? So I did create some calculators. We went over those calculators last class, and I did one little update because I think it'll make it easier. After teaching a class, I realized, some students are confused on this. So an update I made on this is for arithmetic, and that's what I just clicked over on the left. Just like the last time, I do have this formula at the start, and as well as this triangle that if you want to click it, it'll tell you what everything represents, is represented by. But I put it by folders. I have earliest term, and it tells you right here where T is the term number, the last term, where N is the number of terms, and the common difference with the formula. So I thought that would make it easier just to kind of break them up. There's really 3 parts to any arithmetic problem. So when we go through, what you need to find is the earliest term, the last term, and then we'll find the common difference. All right, so on our problem here, see if my board's working. I haven't even clicked it yet. The earliest term that you see is which value? Please speak up. Which the earliest term you see listed here? That's right. It's A1. That's the earliest term listed. Now, question. Would it do me any good to put A1 over here? Would it do me any good to put A1 right there, you think?
No.
No. Okay, so that's actually not going to be the earliest term we use. So even though A1 is shown, we're going to not say that's the earliest term. What's the earliest term given?
16.
So that's the number I'm going to put in right here. I'm going to put 16 in here. And what this says right here is, what is T? T is the term number. So 16 is the second. So that's 16 right there is A2. Since that's A2, that's what I'm going to put in over here is that T is 2. So basically we're saying A of 2 is 16. Because T is 2, so A of 2 equals 16. So that's the earliest term. I'm done with that part now. So I just closed it away. And then do we know our last term? Yes. This right here is the last term. That's AN. So our last term is 0. Hey, Jose. Oh, sorry. Did you send me a message?
No.
My phone's over there. I was going to say, okay. So our last term is 0. Do we know how many terms are there? Can we just say that's 1, 2, 3, that's the 4th? What's your guess? Is that going to be the 4th term? I'm seeing from Pam in the chat that she's saying no, and she's correct. That's not the 4th term. Those dots mean there's a bunch of stuff just missing. We don't know how many. So our unknown is the N, and so that's what I'm going to put as an X. So right up here, this note, it says up here, set the unknown to X, and so that's where I'm going to put it as an X. Now I'm finally to the common difference. Well, and it says you take your second term and minus the first term. Or said another way, you take the earliest 2 given to you, which in this case is 14 and 16, and you subtract the later by the earlier. So it's just 14 minus 16. That's our D. So if I do all this, the way my calculator is set up is the intersection is the missing value. So that's what this says right here. The X value at the intersection of the 3 graphs would be the solution to your unknown. So the unknown, if you remember, was how many terms. So this one has 10 terms, which is not what's asked. We discovered that we have 10 terms, but what it wants to know is the sum. And so if you scroll down to the bottom, if the sum isn't shown, it says right here, if the sum isn't shown on line 24, this is 24, then enter the x value of the intersection. So I'm just going to put that 10 right here. So we found the intersection at 10, and it tells me my sum is 90. And so the sum of this is 90. So all I had to do is type that 10 in right there, and then it gave me the correct value. All right, let's try number 2. Number 2 now says a geometric series is shown. And so we're going to go through the same process, but this time, instead of using arithmetic, I'm just going to choose the geometric graph. And I did the same adjustment on there, earliest term, last term, and then instead of a common difference, they call it a common ratio. So let's see what we get here. What is the earliest term shown for our Desmos? What's the earliest mathematical term shown? I'll say it that way.
$16.
Again, it's a 16. So this would be A2. And so I'd go to earliest term and put 16 again. And it's the second term. That's what T is, the earliest term number. Okay, and so I'm done with the earliest term. Now I go on to the last term. Do I know anything about the last term? We do. We know it's 1 divided by 16. That's the last term. Do we know how many there are? No. So we know the last term is going to be 1 divided by 16. What we don't know is how many terms there are. That's the x. And again, if you don't know something, that's what you set equal to x for the calculator to work right. The last thing we do is the common ratio, and it says where r equals a2 divided by a1. That means you just take the second term given divided by the first term given. So here, I'm just going to take -4 and divide it by 16. So r is going to be -4 divided by 16 like that. Okay, so what these say here is the x value at the intersection is the unknown. So that unknown is 6, that's the x. The unknown represents n on this problem. N is 6, so this had 6 terms. On this problem we had n of 6, but it doesn't want to know how many terms there are, it wants to know the sum. And so what you would do, if you need to find the sum, is you go down here, and if it's not showing them to you, it says here, enter the x value right there. And so I put that 6. The same value as 6, I put it right here. When we put 6, it shows us our sum. The sum would equal -51.1875. And those would be our solutions. So I kind of wanted you to see the calculators, especially since I thought it made it easier to group them. Earliest term, last term, common ratio. It makes you feel like you're just looking for a couple things. I thought that would simplify the problem. So make sure you open up your bell ringers and submit your answers here for number 1 and then number 2.